What's going on, guys? Jolt here from TheTokenMinorities, and we are back with the team builder for the finals of the TBL. I know you guys have been looking forward to this. We certainly have too, but of course this is the team battling league, and I am not alone. Joining me is Goldoa Dragon. Go ahead and say hello.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to our last team builder. Oh, it feels so weird to say that officially, because the past couple weeks we've been so like, we are going to have one more. We're going to have one more. And now there can't be another one. This is it, guys. We are taking on the Death Valley Incineroars, coached by Leo and Shuckleking. If you haven't checked them out, that's not too surprising. It has been probably, 8 weeks, 9 weeks since the last time we fought these guys in week 1 of the regular season. But, of course, we fought them week 1. We lost. And we have had the rollback of the century to get ourselves to a position where we have a chance for redemption here. This is our redemption week in the finals. So
this whole playoff run has kind of felt like a redemption series. Like, I mean, I guess our first round was against the team we beat in the last week of the season, but like these last 2 rounds have been against like 2 of the 3 teams that we lost to during the regular season, and that's really exciting to me. I really love these kind of revenge style games, but you know, the fact that the whole season is coming full circle like this, with this being the team we actually started the season against, makes it really satisfying. I think that this is how it's going to end. And plus, these are 2 really good friends of mine, in Leo and Shuckleking. So again, make sure to go check them out. Link down in the description below. So it's going to be a fun game for sure. But let's take a quick look at their roster. So they have the Dragapult, Gengar, Arcanine, Silvally, Cobalion, Rotom-Mow, Quagsire, Scrafty, Sigilyph, Galarian, Rapidash, and the Stunfisk. So they have a very scary roster. No surprise whatsoever as to why they are in the finals. Both really solid battlers, and then a terrifying roster on top of that. Still a little salty that they took Dragapult from us. I really wanted to use Dragapult, not gonna lie. And it kind of just body bags our whole draft too, so that makes it even more fun to try to deal with here in this game. It's an absolute monster. But what are some of your initial thoughts on this, Goldoa, before we jump into the team?
yeah, well, they haven't changed it since week 1, so it's nice that we at least have access to what they had last time. We haven't changed our roster either, so they know what we brought last time. They know what our team builder was all about, what we looked at last time. Now, they're obviously not going to be surprised to find out that we've made a lot of changes. We've made it pretty clear throughout our playoff run that we are not keeping the same sets from the first time we faced teams. We are making a lot of changes and making a lot of adjustments. So I expect that they are going to be, more than anybody else, prepared for those kind of adjustments that we're going to make. However, again, they are going to be good battlers. They're going to watch what we've put out and see what we've done and remember the battle from last time. So I do think they are going to make sure they prepare. Last time they brought a Scarf Dragapult to basically nullify Scarf Hydreigon, as well as Scarf Gardevoir. But this time we've decided, okay, if you're going to run that Scarf Dragapult again, that's totally fine. We're just not going to waste our item on those Mons. We do have a lot of counterplay here, depending on what they bring, depending on what we have available to us, later in the game. But I think, honestly, their roster is super fast, as it was last time, and their roster is super offensive, as it was last time, with a couple of bulky options for pivots. That's really where their biggest danger lies, is their ability to just pivot into whatever they need.
Yeah, absolutely. And in a matchup like this, where really both teams are pretty offensively based, speed control just becomes the most important factor in the game. And I mean, for those of you who are watching our videos trying to learn more about team building, like, this is one of the biggest takeaways I want you guys to have, is that when you have a matchup like this that is so offensive, speed control, again, is the most important factor in the entire game. And speed control will win you offensive games 9 times out of 10. Just straight up, don't think I'm exaggerating in saying that. And you're going to see that as something that we are really trying to think about with this particular team. You saw that in our week 1 matchup against them, where we tried to run a couple Scarfers, and they won the speed control battle. And what do you know? We lost that game. So we're going to try to turn the tables on that, quite literally, actually, with Trick Room, and you'll see that here in a little bit. And that's how we're going to, one of the ways that we're going to try to command speed control in this game. So so you're going to see that as a bit of a theme, but we do want to approach this game a little bit differently than how we did last time around, as last time it really didn't go super well for us. We brought, really, I think, if I remember correctly, it was week 1, and it was obviously a rush team builder, but I think we brought a very straightforward hyper offensive team with maybe 1 or 2 kind of lazy pivots. They weren't really super well put together. and they abused that really hard. They brought in Assault Vest Scrafty that was able to deal with like over half of our offense, so that alone was pretty rough for us to deal with. And they brought an Arcanine that was able to pretty much hard wall our Gardevoir as well with the heavy duty boots, as we were kind of counting on Stealth Rock to help us put the Arcanine into Gardevoir range, and they obviously ignored that with their items. So we were definitely much better prepared this time around for those defensive options that they brought last time, as well as really all of the defensive options that they could bring. I think the team that we've constructed here is going to be able to deal with those a little bit more effectively this time around. But I do think, just kind of looking at the matchup itself, that it really comes down to 7, maybe 8 mons that they could consider bringing in this game. And part of, I guess, that thought process led to some of the decisions that were made on this particular team as well. For example, last time around, they did not bring a ground resist on their entire roster. And they had access to 2 of them. They had Sigilyph and they had Rotom-Mow. I don't personally think Rotom-Mow has a good matchup, and I hope they don't bring it, honestly. Even if they bring it, I feel like we can deal with it quite well. But the team that we're going to show you here in just a second is so much better if Rotom-Mow is not brought. And so yeah, it'll be really interesting to see if they bring that. But even the Sigilyph, I would much rather not see that, just because it's a really annoying Pokemon. The stored power Psycho Shift set is always annoying, and even just like a Focus Sash or even a Life Orb set with that speed stat and really solid coverage actually is super annoying to switch into as well, I think. So I would much prefer to not see their ground resists for that reason, but also just because if they don't have ground resist, then ground attacks are pretty free, and we're definitely going to try to hammer in on that with the team build. So I think with that said, let's go ahead and jump into the team itself. I'm going to let Goldoa talk about the first mon, because it is pretty much his favorite Pokemon in the world, I'm finding. And let's be real, this thing's an absolute monster. Go ahead.
All right, it's my favorite Pokemon in the world, and I would like to point out that the only league I've ever drafted in, this one, that has made it all the way to finals, because I've had a couple leagues where I drafted it where it didn't finish. It is in finals, and it is coming to the final battle. It is Clock Tower, the Noctowl. Of course we're going to bring it. It's not a meme set by any stretch of the imagination. We built this set very carefully to make sure that it can handle the threats it needs to handle. It is a special tank unto itself, like we have nothing else on our entire roster to take these hits. It can take a Life Orb Sludge Wave into a Life Orb Thunderbolt from the Gengar and dish out a ton of damage back with a Hurricane. With the boots, it is going to be able to not worry about any rocks set up on the opponent's side of the field. Nasty Plot may or may not be an option early game, like not early game, but at all in the game. But Hurricane is super spammable. They don't even have a flying resist, except for like Stunfisk on their entire roster. And if Stunfisk comes in, Hurricane doesn't care. It doesn't have. There's no flying resist for Noctowl anyway. But of course, Hurricane being as spammable as it is, they're definitely going to have something specially defensive to deal with it. And that's why we are going to make sure that we have Toxic for things like the potentially specially defensive Arcanine, or Quagsire that can come in on the Noctowl and potentially just wall it for a little bit, so we can Toxic that. Roost gets us back to full health if they do bring in something to stall it out, so Toxic and Roost can help this Noctowl deal with some of those threats. And if nothing else, this speed tier, if you look at their team, like we were saying, it's incredibly fast. They only have 3 mons that underspeed a base 70, which Noctowl's not slow, but they only have 3 mons that underspeed a base 70. So we decided we were going to use this, if needed, late game as sort of a Trick Room sweeper with that Nasty Plot. Since there wasn't any other coverage we really needed, we were able to just make this thing as efficient and effective as possible at tanking special hits. It really doesn't do well on the physical side, but it's not supposed to. It tanks the special hits, it dishes out tons of damage with Hurricane, potentially gets a couple of really key confusions, who knows, and is able to stall out some of their fatter stuff with the Toxic and the Roost. And then late game, underspeed everything and maybe get a little Trick Room damage off. I don't think either of us think this Noctowl is going to win the game on its own. It's not the matchup for that, but it definitely earned a spot as one of our top 6 mons in the finals, and I think that alone is the most satisfying thing of this entire season.
I couldn't agree more. Just a couple things to add on Noctowl, though. So even the mons that do underspeed it, the only 2, I believe, I guess there's 3 of them with Stunfisk, I really don't count in this matchup. I don't think it's very good here. But the Scrafty and the Quagsire, neither of them really beat this 1v1 either. So even if they outspeed us under Trick Room, I think we're going to be okay against those 2. So that just makes Noctowl even better as a potential Trick Room sweeper. But the other thing I wanted to mention, it still does have the bulk to handle a potential mixed or physical Dragapult. It doesn't want to take a fully offensively invested, fully physically offensive invested. Dragapult's Dragon Darts. It doesn't want to take that, especially if it's Life Orb. If it's not Life Orb, we actually can take it from full. We also can take like a partially invested Dragon Darts as well. So this thing can tentatively handle a mixed Dragapult if it needs to. And honestly, I kind of think that's what they go with. If they're not a Scarf set again, a Scarf set would make a lot of sense just because we have a lot of really good Scarfers. And again, speed control is key in this matchup. But if they opt to not bring a Scarf to Dragapult, then I think a Life Orb set is the next most likely thing, probably mixed. So we'll need to keep an eye on the potential for Dragon Darts as a way of, if not one-shotting Noctowl, it'll definitely 2-hit KO it. So definitely something to keep in mind. But that's the first one on the team. The GOAT Noctowl is back for finals. Now we have Hydreigon coming in with a set we have not brought all season long. It is a Dragon Dance set, but it's actually special. And it's kind of weird, I know, but hear me out. So Dragon Dance gives us speed, and it does give us an attack boost. We still felt like the special attacking options were a little bit stronger against their team as a whole, even considering the fact that we could boost our physical attack. And there's a few reasons for that. One of them is that they could easily cycle Intimidate. So they have Arcanine and they have Scrafty, both of which have access to Intimidate, which would pretty quickly neutralize any physical boost that we're able to get. But two, we want this to be able to deal with Cobalion as well as possible, and a physical move like Superpower actually does less than a special move like Earth Power will do, more likely than not, especially because Cobalion could very easily be a Chople Berry to help out against Terrakion, or an Aqua Berry to help out against the potential Salazzle bring. So Earth Power felt like the best coverage move of choice, and from there we just wanted to maximize our investment as best as possible, which resulted in 3 special attacks. This coverage does allow us to hit the whole team neutrally, 2-hit KOs, almost everything on the team. We just need to be able to wear down stuff like the Scrafty, potentially wear down the Silvally as well, as that's going to be most likely a Fairy type if they bring it, or the Rapidash, which is a Fairy type as well, but I also don't think that's Pokemon, so I think the Fairy Silvally is most likely going to be the bring in terms of being a switch into the Hydreigon. So yeah, have to keep that in mind. We definitely don't even 2-hit KO Spadef Silvally with Flash Cannon, so we need to wear that down with rocks and other means. But still, this coverage is solid enough to serve as a potential win con in this game. And yeah, the Chople Berry really just helps assist that setup. It allows us to set up on the Cobalion as well as on the Arcanine, both of which are likely to pack the fighting coverage. I believe they had close combat on their Arcanine last time around, so this would help make it easier to set up on that in this matchup. So yeah, that's the Hydreigon. It does need help though, and that's where the next Mon comes into play. So go ahead and take that one away.
Yeah, so on our support Mons that are definitely supposed to be offensive Mons, but we're trying really, really hard to take as much out of these Mons as possible and soak every possible ounce of their ability into this battle. We are going to be bringing the Salazzle. It's going to be holding onto the Black Sludge, as you'd expect from any support Salazzle, but it is not toxic. It is actually oblivious. I don't see a taunt or anything coming, but it can't be intimidated, so that's cool. But Knockoff is the move here to watch out for. We know that Salazzle baits in a couple of different things. It baits in the Quagsire 100% of the time. That thing just completely hard walls it. It baits in the Scrafty. It can bait in the Arcanine, and that thing, if it's especially defensive, can definitely take a hit. It can bait in the Cobalion. And we want to make sure that with this knockoff, we are getting our maximum value out of whatever it is. That AV Scrafty really screwed with us last time, and we definitely want to make sure we can get rid of that if possible, as did the heavy-duty boots, as Jolt mentioned earlier, from the Arcanine. So if we can get rid of one or both of those, that would be huge. One thing that is definitely a fear of ours is a weakness policy Cobalion, potentially switching in and having a rock polish up, and being able to knock that off early on a switch in or something, even though we give them the +1 attack, knocking it off so we don't have to deal with it later is absolutely massive. The other move here that we chose as our support move is Encore. There's a lot of setup and a lot of like recovery on their team. Quagsire, Scrafty could bulk up, Cobalion could Swords Dance, Sigilif could start setting up Cosmic Powers or something. So we just wanted to do it. Like Encore, this thing outspeeds the majority of their team and is able to slow those things down from their own setup and being able to just straight up sweep us, give this thing a chance to either switch into something that can then handle those threats, like if it's Scrafty, start setting up like Dragon Dances, we can just go into Terrakion after an Encore and then be able to close combat and threaten it out, so it can't just set up in front of us. Otherwise, the Quagsire getting locked into like Recover, wastes Recover PP or forces it out as well, giving us another free chance to click Knockoff on something. So we are going to be using Encore pretty, I would say, like just freely, liberally use of Encore in this case. And then the stab moves are just good stab moves. We did opt for Fire Blast over Flamethrower. I'm pretty sure the reason Jolt chose this move, I think it's because it does a lot more to Cobalion specifically. It actually just gives us a chance to maybe OHKO it as opposed to guaranteed to a KO, which is a huge, like after rocks damage and knockoff damage, it has a chance to OHKO. So it's like really like we just wanted to see if we can get that extra power. We figured, yeah, the loss of accuracy could come back to bite us, but more often than not, the additional power is going to be incredibly useful. But this thing is just going to be a nuisance for their team. We do have enough speed to outspeed everything that it's normally going to outspeed, so Gengar and below, and then a lot of HP to be able to take hits on switches. This thing can come in on things like the Scrafty or the Arcanine as well. Those things bait. This baits those in, and those bait this in, which is weird. But we are able to take hits from those as well, and Sludge Bomb gave us a little bit of extra chance to poison, which was super nice since the power of Sludge Wave was insignificantly more. We might as well take the extra chance to poison here.
Yeah, I think the Sludge Bomb poison could especially be nice for the Quagsire too. I just think if we can get the residual damage going on Quag, it's going to help out a lot for the rest of the team. So yeah, but I think you covered that one well enough. And now next up will be the Gardevoir. So Gardevoir is coming once again, and this is that Trick Room setter we were alluding to earlier on in the builder. So this is going to be a Trick Room support for the Noctowl, as well as just general speed control against their team that is, for the vast majority, much faster than ours. So if we can turn the tables on speed, command speed control, even for 4 turns, I think that's going to be huge, massive in this game, as 4 turns could result in 4 kills, and that's, I mean, that might be all it takes for us to win this game. So that could be a clutch move here. But this is a very different Gardevoir than what we've brought so far this season. I've actually never run a Gardevoir specifically like this before, and really curious to see how it works. But this is actually designed to beat Arcanine. Maybe not beat Arcanine 1v1, but it doesn't lose to it. We do have Pain Split, which is a means of recovery. Wish Protect is obviously a better option if we had 5 move slots, but we only have 4 move slots. So we're going to try to run with Pain Split, as Toxic was essential to give us a chance of actually 1v1ing the Arcanine, and Moonblast is just so freaking good against their team, with them only having, I believe, 2 resist on their entire roster in the Arcanine and in the Gengar. So yeah, just a really good Pokemon. Max Fizz Def investment allows us to avoid a 2-hit KO from an uninvested Arcanine's Flare Blitz without Stealth Rock on the field. If rocks are on the field, it has a chance to 2-hit KO, so we have to be aware of that, maybe pivot a little more carefully into the Arcanine if we need to. But the good news is, if it's an Intimidate Arcanine, we actually can switch in very safely due to the traceability copy in their Intimidate. So that could certainly come in handy. And actually, if it's a Flash Fire Arcanine, we can switch into Flare Blitz as well. So that makes it even better, actually. So even if we switch into Arcanine, or if Arcanine switches into us, both of which are very strong possibilities actually in this game, which is kind of funny to think about, then yeah, this should be able to, if not beat it 1v1, it'll be at least be able to cause a stalemate, which will potentially cause them to switch out as we get a Toxic off on it, maybe a Moonblast off on something else, which in either case is a solid position for us to be in. So yeah, we pretty much needed to run full HP in defense for that. Then we did have 16 EVs left over, which we were able to throw into special attack just to hit things a little bit harder with the Moonblast, which is, yeah, just incredible against their team. So that is the Gardevoir. Very, very interesting set. I've never even seen a Pain Split Gardevoir run at all, and I've been doing this format for like 5 years, it seems like, maybe more at this point. I don't even know. I've never seen a Pain Split Gardevoir run before. Let me know if you've seen one in the comments below, but this is definitely a first for me, and for Goldoa as well. We're both kind of the Gardevoir masters over here, I think. And no, this will be interesting to see how it goes.
Yeah, and I want to just throw on one last bit about the Gardevoir, which has the Rocky Helmet, so Flare Blitz Recoil obviously does a lot of damage to the Arcanine, plus an extra 16% is just huge. This Gardevoir also just completely stuffs Scrafty, and, you know, Knockoff with the Rocky Helmet with his max defense and max HP set is doing roughly 20%. And we would love, we figured this is our switch into Scrafty some of the time, so we're just going to go for it. If it knocks off, it's whatever, it did it. The Rocky Helmet does like 16%, like I said, and then it's gone, and we don't completely lose our item for literally no value. We at least get a little bit of chip damage off, which can be really significant on an AV Scrafty or something like that, since Moonblast could become a 2-hit KO where it otherwise would have failed, especially with Rock's chip or something. This thing will be getting just a little bit of extra chip damage, so I do think that is really significant and something that shouldn't be overlooked as an option for us on the Scrafty, since that Rocky Helmet is basically a free little damage and then lose the item. Like it sort of like feels like a one-time use item.
Yeah, that's absolutely. Yeah. But it's likely we have to switch this into Scrafty really early in the game, honestly. So it's, nice to get at least a little utility out of the item.
But going on to the next mon, this is going to be Terrakion. It is Life Orbed. It is going to be offensive. It is Jolly Natured, but not max speed. It's worth noting we are sacrificing the ability to potentially speed tie with the Cobalion to just make sure we're outspeeding things, creeping the Hydreigon here, I believe. And then we underspeed the Cobalion, the Gengar, and the Dragapult, which could be absolutely massive if Trick Room's up in a late game scenario and Terrakion can come in and take out one of those mons, or at least force them out into a more uncomfortable situation. Rock Blast can help deal with a Focus Sash Sigilif or something like that, or Focus Sash Dragapult or Gengar. Earthquake is amazing coverage, as we mentioned before. Earth coverage, yeah. Ground coverage is absolutely fantastic. And then Close Combat is just great stab for it to have. I know they've got a couple of Ghost types right at the top there, and then a Fairy Psychic type, and then a Psychic Flying type. So they do have a lot of resists to Close Combat, but the things that Close Combat hits, like the Quagsire, the Scrafty, and the Cobalion, it hits so hard, and the Rotom Mow even just get hit so hard by it. And of course, we had an extra move slot. We were debating, last time we ran some setup, but we didn't want to do that this week. We just wanted to make sure we have the move coverage to deal with whatever it is they bring in. We don't want to be lacking anything. So for that Silvally Fairy that they could very well bring to stop the close combat spam from the Terrakion, Ironhead just made so much sense, and the Life Orb gives this thing so much power that it was easy to run Jolly without worrying about the loss of power here.
Yeah, and what's nice about this too is it's still able to 2-hit KO Fizz-Def Quagsire, which that was their switch-in last time around. I think they probably learned their lesson that Quagsire is not a Terrakion switch-in. I don't know what their switch-in actually is going to be, though, and that's another reason why I really like the Life Orb set without like a setup opportunity. I'd rather just click moves, and just be able to, hit stuff really hard, and nothing's going to want to switch into this. And if they don't even bring Quagsire, like, hello, we're gonna have a lot of fun against their team, I think. And yeah, so Terrakion just really solid as a physical breaker against their squad. And yeah, I'd be really surprised if this doesn't pick up a kill or two in this game. If not, just break down something really crucial for us. So finally, we have the final member of the team, and that is Seismitoad. And this is a freaking weird set. I know. It's a Toy Scarf Toad, not the weirdest thing in the world. Some of you guys have probably seen that before in the past, but this is actually like a physically defensive Choice Scarf Seismitoad, and you got to hear me out on this one too. This was another one of those really weird sets that we were thinking about for a while, and this I'm gonna take credit for this one just in case it goes poorly. So it's a Choice Scarf Toad. So
give me blender policy.
Yeah.
Noctowl, so I'll give you this one.
Sounds good. It's it might go very badly though, so I'm not sure how this is gonna go. But we do have Choice Scarf with 246 speed. That allows us to outpace, I believe, a Dragapult that is creeping down to outpace a Salazzle by 1. So we do outpace that. That also means we outspeed Gengar. That means we outspeed Cobalion. So this is going to serve as an offensive check to those Pokemon, while still also serving the purpose of being a physically defensive tank that can take a +2 close combat from Cobalion. So this has a lot of important roles in this game. And with their team only having 2 Stealth Rockers and not very many priority options, honestly, I could see this thing staying healthy enough to avoid the 2-hit KO from a +2 Cobalion, while also being able to offensively check some of their scariest offensive Pokemon for us. So honestly, this thing can do both roles, I think, pretty well, especially if they opt to not bring the Stealth Rock once again in this matchup, which I personally think is unlikely in playoffs and a finals match, especially knowing Leo, knowing Shuckleking. I think they're probably going to bring Stealth Rock. That's usually the call in an important match. But if they decide not to do that, then that would be phenomenal for us. But also, this thing can excel in the case where they don't bring the Rotom Mow. This is also what I was alluding to earlier, or the Sigilyph. Either way, if they don't bring the Rotom Mow or the Sigilyph, they have no ground resist on their team, which means that Earthquake spam is absolutely free, and especially if the Dragapult is not a Choice Scarf variant, we can very well outspeed that with this set, and that would mean Earthquake spam is just, here. It's just here. We're going to be able to 2-hit KO everything on their roster, aside from the Quagsire, which we think is going to be pressured enough by other members of our team to where it won't be able to just switch in and hard wall us throughout the entirety of the game. It might be able to early on, but that's what Stealth Rock is for too on this. In those situations where we think Quagsire is a free switch in, or we think they have a good switch in at the time, if we don't have rocks in the field yet, then we can just click Stealth Rock at that point and get them up to assist the rest of our team. So there's that. We also have the Poison Touch as the ability on this time around, which is a little bit weird too. Just a weird set overall, but it's able to give us a chance of poisoning stuff as we spam Liquidation. Is if they don't bring the Rotom-Mow, they don't really have a good switch into Liquidation. They could switch into Dragapult, I suppose, but getting a Poison on that's phenomenal, because Dragapult, we just need that chip damage off on it to get it in range of Noctowl faster, to get it in Terrakion range faster, to get it even into, trying to think what else. I guess it'd just be into Earthquake range from this later on. If we can get poisons off on these Pokemon, it's just so good. And Poison Jab obviously is nice in combination with Poison Touch. 30% chances there, I believe, which I mean, that could be super nice against the Rotom-Mow if that happens to be a switch in, or even nice against the Silvally if the Silvally wants to be the switch in, or if we want to force out Silvally with something like this. Having that super effective coverage with the extra opportunity to poison could be really effective for our team too. So yeah, this thing has a lot of roles. Hopefully we're not putting too much on this one Mon. But I don't know. I kind of thought it was important to have this, just to have a way to take a hit from +2 Cobalion in an absolute worst case scenario. Weakness policy, Rock Polish, just things at +2/+2. Like, what the heck do we do? Oh, right, we take that hit with Seismitoad because we're fat for whatever reason. So there's a chance this could work well. There's a chance it could not work at all. We're just gonna have to see what happens. But yeah, that's the Seismitoad, and that's the team.
Yeah, oh my god, I'm so excited, guys. You guys don't even understand. It's been 2 weeks since our last upload, as you may have noticed. It's also been 2 weeks since the last time we battled with this team. This will be the final battle with this team. And honestly, I think it's been a fun ride. I think I don't think Jolt thought that the team was well drafted when we first drafted it. But it was well enough drafted. It is at least top 2 drafts in the entire league. So we are hoping, I think personally, Jolt and I would love to walk away champions of the TBL. We have given ourselves the best chance in my mind to do that against this roster, but I do think this is the scariest roster that we've had to face all season. And I am so excited to present you guys with that battle tomorrow. Of course, it will be coming out, and you guys will not have to wait any longer than 24 hours or so from the time of this video's recording, or uploading, I should say, to check that battle out. Also on the TheTokenMinorities channel, so definitely check that out. But I don't know which one of those two is uploading the battle, but both their links should be in the description. Go check their side out as well, of both the team builder and the battle, because it is the finals. This is it, guys. This is the one that counts. This is for all the marbles. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this. I know this season has been a wild ride for Jolt and I. It has been a really fun experience, and I think we've both gotten a lot closer as friends and just members of the community just by doing this together. So I think it's been a super fun ride. But
yeah, I think it's been super fun all the way through for sure. And honestly, let us know in the comments if you ever thought you'd see Noctowl in the finals. Like, seriously, did you ever think you'd see Noctowl in the finals?
I had faith.
I did not.
Day one.
I did not. Go back to our old videos. I straight up said Noctowl was trash. Like, boy, was I wrong.
I convinced you to at least let me draft it, and look where we are now. Look where he's gotten. Noctowl has had multiple sweeps. It's one of our kill leaders. Like, this is Noctowl's coming out party right here. It's crazy.
It actually is.
But yeah, we'll see you guys back here tomorrow with that battle. Should be a really good one. You know, and it's so nice to just get one more chance to use this team. And we're gonna try to provide you guys with as fun but also entertaining of a battle as we can. And we are, let's be honest, competitive people and gonna try to win.
Absolutely, yeah. And I hope you guys have enjoyed seeing some of these, like, obviously more competitive team builders coming out here in the playoffs. So anyways, guys, thanks again for watching. Let us know what you think about the team in the comments below, and I hope you're looking forward to the game coming out tomorrow, and we will catch you all then. Have a good one, guys. Later.
Take care, everybody.